Hello everybody and welcome to Griffer's Retro Gaming, and today I'm going to be doing a bit of a collection video again. I've been saying in a few of my past videos that I wanted to do a shelf up above where I sit to do these videos normally, and it was to have Dungeons and Dragons games on there. Well, I've finally done it, and I've got a load of my games on there which I've procured over the years, so I just wanted to share that with you. And I'm going to start with the only game I have that is unboxed, and that is Eye of the Beholder for the Game Boy Advance. Now, I do want this boxed, but it's proving to be quite expensive, around the £30 mark, something like that. So yeah, it's not a high priority, unfortunately, at the moment. But the game is just a remake or an update of the classic Eye of the Beholder game, which was out on the Super Nintendo, and I did play on that quite a few times. I didn't quite understand it. I was quite young, so I just couldn't get my head around the dungeon crawling and creating a map and things like that for knowing where you've been and where you need to go. The battles in it are turn-based as well, which isn't the best when you're young, but at my sort of age now, or things like that, then you can deal with it a bit more, you can comprehend it a bit more. And for a Game Boy Advance game, it's not bad at all. It's definitely worth your time. If you can pick up the cartridge, I think it's only about £5 on eBay. It's the package as a whole that costs the most. Okay, so with that out of the way, I'm going to go for the only game I have that is a Sega game. And this literally is the only Sega console game that I own. I did have some Game Gear games, but not anymore, sadly. But, I mean, obviously I've got the Sega games from... I've got a box protector on this. Obviously I've got Sega games on other systems, but dedicated Sega console games, this is the only one. So this is Dungeons and Dragons Warriors of the Eternal Sun. And much like Eye of the Beholder, it's a dungeon crawler. And there you go. Let's see some pictures. I do have gameplay playing as well. And they're recorded off emulators, so, they're not quite... They're near as damn it anyway. But this is in lovely condition. This only cost me £15 delivered. Absolutely delighted with it, with the protector as well. So, in case you haven't seen a Mega Drive game before... And the instructions, which aren't in the best of condition, but I've got no way of playing this anyway. So, yeah, it's just for display purposes only, which I'm quite happy with. And I'll just show you some of there's some really nice pictures in here as well. Sadly, they're in black and white, but... There you go. So I can play the game, like I say, on emulators, but this particular one, until I get a Retron or a Mega Drive, then it'll just be display only. I think my brother had it. I seem to remember it. My brother had it, and I have played it before on an emulator. It's not bad at all. I'm pretty sure my brother had it though for the Mega Drive back in the day, so I doubt he still has it now. Next up is a recent purchase that I got from Doncaster Gaming Market, and it is Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Hero of the Lance. And this is for the Commodore 64. It's on cassette. Now, I've never played this at all, but it is out on... I haven't got any gameplay footage either. I could have got some in hindsight when I found out that it's actually released for the NES. None of the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons games made it across the pond, but for the NES anyway. But yeah, it is available for the... It's on most emulators anyway for the NES. So here's the cassette. It does have two sides to it, but there's nothing on that side. I don't know if you can quite make it out. It has got a bit of mould in here, but again, it's of no consequence because it's just sitting up on that shelf. It's got... I'll show you the instructions in a moment. There's a... Yeah, just a warning thing. So the instructions are brilliant. I've had a read of these as well. So it's got the background and history. Tells you about the game and the story. How to play the game. But amazingly as well, it has a backstory for each character. And it's just fantastic to read through. That is something we miss these days without instructions. I understand why they don't, because a lot of people never read them anyway, but I mean, look at this. Riverwind there, and Tasselhoff barefoot. Yeah, all great. And it's got all the stats as well. So it's like a sad view rather than a dungeon crawler. I suppose a bit like Zelda 2, but I've never played it, so I won't guess. But it does look alright. So I will be playing that on the NES when I get a chance. Next up is another game that I've never played, and that's it. I have played all the rest from here, but yeah, this one is Pool of Radiance, Ruins of Myth Drador. It's from the Forgotten Realms, Dungeons and Dragons at the bottom there. I'll just show you the back actually. So this is a lot like the games before it, such as Baldur's Gate, which I will go into. You have a party and you go around the map destroying enemies, things like that. However, this was made after Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale, and it's more like the Temple of Elemental Evil, which is more of a tabletop role-playing game. It's very true to that, rather than more action-based like Baldur's Gate is. You take it in turns to move, and it's slow, methodical. You take your time, and you've only got certain action moves and stuff like that. Both the CDs are nice CDs there. A little bit of advertising material, and a lovely, if I can get that in focus, a lovely, absolutely pristine instruction manual. Got some nice, all in black and white again sadly, but yeah, it's got some nice drawings and animation in there. So yeah, like I say, I've never played it. It's until I get a cheap PC, I probably won't be able to play it because I'm a Mac user. But the only reason I bought it was because it was £3 delivered. So it's worth it just for the box art, which is really nice. As far as the old Pool of Radiance goes off the NES and off the computers, I don't know if it is anything to do with that. So next up, as mentioned, is Temple of Elemental Evil, and I have played this. I wasn't a big fan of it. This is a Troika game. It's based on the old Temple of Elemental Evil campaign for the Dungeons and Dragons tabletop games, and it's alright, it's not bad. I think the music and the graphics on there are absolutely wonderful. Sadly, however, the gameplay is too slow. This is my receipt there, I got it from Staples back when they used to sell them. Yeah, sadly, the gameplay is just a bit too slow for me. But you can have an awful lot of people in your party as well, so you're not just restricted to 4 or 6 or anything like that. And again, you take it in turns like you would in the tabletop. I don't know what that's from. I'll probably wouldn't have used that with this game. So PC's direct boot disc. Yeah. So there's the discs, and again a nice manual, which I have had a look through a few times because it is a bit complicated compared to the other ones. Yet it is rather familiar at the same time. But being it uses a new, I think it's the 3.5 rule set, and yeah, it's very faithful to the tabletop game, but I mean, that's no fun on your own. You really want to be playing against other people when you're doing that. So for me, it didn't work, but it is a nice game, and if you're into them type of things, I do recommend it for, like, if you are into that. As daft as that sounds, but I could see the value in it. That's the best way of putting it. Next up is a game that's received an enhanced edition, and that's Neverwinter Nights. Now, this was my dad's. It's from the creators of Baldur's Gate, and it just took Baldur's Gate to the next level in terms of graphics. Personally, I wasn't a fan. It's 3D graphics, and it doesn't look great, to be honest. It's not a bad game by any stretch. I haven't played the enhanced edition. I do want to get it, so when it comes down in price, I will be buying it. But yeah, it's not a game I remember too fondly. But I think this was 3 discs. There was a Neverwinter Nights 2 and a couple of expansions as well. I do believe this has got a map. Yeah, I do believe this has got an online-only version as well, which is called Neverwinter. There you go. Come with a quick reference card, which will be all your hotkeys and stuff like that. Obviously, on a PC, you could use your keyboard for more than just pressing escape, or the Windows key to get back to the main. I've got another floppy disk there. Well, that's fun. That wasn't mine, like I say, anyway. I believe the instruction on it is in black and white, but you've got some really nice screenshots there. I'll just get that in focus. And there's all kinds of enemies and items, weapons, all sorts on here. It's really good in that respect. You can get some really good, like, traits and things like that, which make all your characters in your party worth having, rather than just to bulk up the numbers. They all serve a purpose, and again, in that respect, it's really good, but I didn't like the 3D aspect of it, unfortunately. Now we're getting into the good games. So I'll start with the first series, which is Icewind Dale. Now, this is a 3-in-1 box set which came out a few years after. So this features Icewind Dale, the expansion, which is the Heart of Winter, which offers you some more campaigns, a higher level cap, more items, things like that, and Icewind Dale 2. I did have Icewind Dale big box, but over the years it's this is 4 discs, I believe. There you go. So you got Icewind Dale 1, Heart of Winter, and then Icewind Dale 2, disc 1 and disc 2. And it would have just come like that, but I have got I think it would anyway, but I have got the instructions from the big box for Icewind Dale 1. Yeah, unfortunately the box over time has just disintegrated, I think, unfortunately. But it is, the best way of describing Icewind Dale is it's Baldur's Gate, because Baldur's Gate came out first. It's Baldur's Gate without so much of the story or interaction. So it's very heavily combat based, which is a good thing. It's not bad whatsoever. And a lot of people knock Icewind Dale 2, which I also have. So we had this before we got that box set. I believe it just came on, there might have been a special edition or something, but I believe it just came in this like CD, DVD case. But a lot of people knock this, and I don't know why, because it's a really, really good game. Compared to the other ones, it is different because it uses a different rule set. CD1 and CD2. And they still implemented the game to be like the first Icewind Dale 2, but to offer you the extra dimensions for the characters. So, for example, if you had a ranger in your team, then you could use tracking, and if you're lost in some woods, it can help you find the way out, things like that. And it's just a really, really good feature to have in the game. It's not heavily story-based or anything like that. There's a quick reference card again. But the extras that it gave you are just fantastic. My only criticism of the game is that in the end it just gets a bit silly. They implemented quite a lot of puzzles into this rather than the other Icewind Dale. And it does take away from the game somewhat when you're going through a labyrinth or a maze, and you know, for a game that's heavily combat focused, to be doing like missions where you've got to drop down onto another floor to flick a switch to get up another one, it was a bit tedious. Other than that, brilliant game, and I think I prefer number 2 to 1. Icewind Dale 1 is fantastic though. Okay, so next up is my greatest and favourite game of all time, and that's Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate, I should say series. I think Baldur's Gate 2 is better, but this is amazing. So you start off as a first level character. It's very difficult in that respect. And your foster father has been murdered, and it just takes you on a massive journey really into self-discovery and the twisted part of your family and things like that. So the story is second to none. It is brilliant. It's so engaging. But what makes it is the characters in game. They interact with you and each other. So you can get characters that don't like each other, and it'll set off like a civil war within your group. And in that respect, I've not seen anything like it, and for the most part, I've still not seen anything since. Now, this game I got off eBay for £6, and they usually go for 20. He had it up for a tenner, and so I can't play this version. This is PC only. And you got Tales of the Sword Cursed. There's a massive book which gives you all the information you need. There's not. Oh, there we go. So we've got a map printed in there. Candlekeep, that's where you first start, and all the other locations in the game. It's so. There you go. So yeah, this runs on rule set 2, I believe. So it's not as in depth. It's still quite in depth. Don't get me wrong, but not as in depth. There's a poster for the city of Baldur's Gate. Baldur's Gate is a city, and on the back is the poster or the map for the Sword Coast. There's Candlekeep where you start your adventure. So there's a quick reference card for Tales of the Sword Curse, which, as always, is your hotkeys. And the instruction manual for Tales of the Sword Curse, which is an expansion, so there's some cool drawings there. So it is literally just like the additional items in the game and a few tables on leveling up and things like that, the level cap. And finally, Baldur's Gate 2. And this is a bit of a mishmash, I'll be honest. I got this off a friend called Mark, this box. He said, would you like it? It's in nice condition. There's a bit of a rip there, but nothing to concern me. I was like, bloody hell, yes. Because I only had the 4-in-1 box for it, which has got Baldur's Gate, Tale of the Sword Coast, Baldur's Gate 2, and the expansion for number 2 as well, which is the Throne of Ball. So this one is the first Baldur's Gate that I played, and reason being is you start off as level 7, so it's not as, it's not as brutal as the first one. Like, one shot from an enemy goblin arrow isn't going to put you down. So in that respect, if you're new to these games, I would recommend number 2 first, but, you know, Baldur's Gate 1 does help you quite a lot. It gives you tips and things like that. So this was mine. This was the out of the big box. There's all the characters. Handily, there's Minsk, who is my favourite character, gaming character as well. And I'll go on to that in a moment. So, yeah, wonderfully illustrated again, as they all are. And very, very thick as well. You've got all the weapons, or standard weapons and armour. There's tons of magical. There's the Throne of Ball. That's never even been looked at. Throne of Ball manual. I've got that out of the big box as well. I think my dad had it, or was it a PC? Was it a DVD case? Outline number for Atari. But this came in it, which Mark gave me, and that's a demo for Icewind Dale. It's not overly valuable or anything like that, but it's just nice to have because the big box did come with the demo disc for Icewind Dale. So going back to Minsk, I have the Minsk Pop, which I wanted for so long. When I saw it was coming out, is like I say, it's my favourite character. That's his pet hamster, which he has, a bit like Lenny off of Mice and Men, and his hamster is called Boo. He is very similar to Lenny out of, come to think of it, he is very similar to Lenny out of Mice and Men. He's not dumb or anything like that, but he rages up and he's very virtuous and things like that. If he sees something that isn't right, that's evil, something like that, he just runs in head first, and that could be his downfall, but it's just his character and part of it. So yeah, he's a brilliant character, and he's voiced wonderfully by Jim Cummins, who does a lot of cartoon characters you'll know. So yeah, if you ever play Baldur's Gate, I'm sure you'll like Minsk too. And that's my collection. I hope you liked the video. If you've got any memories of these games, then please let me know. I'd love to hear them. And I just want to thank you for watching. Your support means everything to me, it really does. And I'll be back again very soon with another.